So will you guys do this again maybe?
Do you want us to do this again?
Yeah.
Howdy neighbor. Today what we're doing, well, hopefully we're doing, is we're starting to put together some potted plants for college students so that they stop buying invasives and start getting into native plants. Howdy neighbor, how is your garden growing? My garden? Well, we're not dealing with my garden today. Today, we're gonna be giving away, well not today, tomorrow, we're gonna be giving away like 100 free native plants. But who is getting these free 100 native plants? So I'm part of Florida Native Plant Society, which is an amazing non-for-profit group that basically, well, I mean, it's in the name, they focus on native plants, but they do it in a bunch of different ways, from education, creating community. They also do ecosystem restoration. They are an awesome group. And I am part of my chapter, which is Pinellas County chapter. Your local chapter often has different committees. And in my county, we have a conservation committee. A lot of work over a long time. We kind of narrow in on what was basically the pollinator pathways. And that's the main project that I work on with the Florida Native Plant Society, which is the Pinellas Pollinator Pathways Project. And then in that, I feel like we're doing like a Russian doll. There was a subcommittee in addition to the Conservation Committee and the Pollinator Pathways Project that was working with interns at Eckerd College. So one of the things that we know is an opportunity area for pollinators is that we have a lot of people who really just don't even know about native plants, and they've never really been exposed to native plants. They couldn't tell you what's native or exotic or invasive. We also know that college kids are super excited about conservation, about helping with wilderness, but unlike a lot of us, they don't have a land. So what ends up happening is they start their journey with things like houseplants. But the challenge with houseplants is no easier place at your garden center to find an invasive species is. The houseplant section is full of invasive species. Now, it's not terrible because if they stay in a pot inside your house or on a patio, like that's fine. Well, it's not fine because once like hurricanes hit and people's houses, like blah, blah, blah. But in the scheme of things, it's fine. Problem is that oftentimes when people have houseplants that are successful and then they move into a house with a garden, and I'm sure there's some of you like that are like, oh my God, my snake plant, it's growing so well. I wonder what it would look like in this barren spot in my yard. Oh my gosh, my golden pothos, variegated pothos, it grows so well. Wouldn't it be lovely if I trailed it along my fence? And little did you know that these plants out here in the wilderness become huge problems. I know someone's out there going like, snake plant, that's invasive. Yes, mother and long tongue, whatever you want to call it. Yes, it is very invasive. And golden pothos, you have no idea. Like, it's so bad. So the thought is that if these college kids are super excited about houseplants and they decorate their dorms with houseplants, because that's what the interns told us. They said, our friends, we love decorating our rooms with houseplants. Yeah, like could we turn some native plants into houseplants so that these kids, or I guess college kids, could go and put them in their dorm or on their apartment balconies, and then maybe one day, you know, if they still have those houseplants when they have a house, they could put it in their yard. Or even if it dies on them, which is totally fine, but even if it dies on them, the idea of them starting to understand that there are native plants and that they need to watch out for invasive plants can start the journey earlier on when they become people who have yards, or even if they go back to mom and dad's and like they help garden there. We just wanted to help bring the journey a lot earlier. And since this is a major time period when people start really getting into plants, so Florida Native Plant Society, the Pinellas chapter, as part of the conservation committee, we are going and giving over 100 plants to college kids. So I'm going to show you some of the journey because it's been a long journey. It's been months and months and months and months and months of work. We've done stuff from figuring out like what plants would even be possible to be house plants. We've been looking at we've had to do a lot of work to figure out why do kids want the plants that they want? What native plants could even work as house plants or balcony plants? This was uncharted territory because lots of people who know me who are like, you should do videos on potted plants. I tend to not want to do potted plants, especially in the house, because nature stays outside, I stay inside, and neither shall cross. I support lots of nature outside, but in the house, no. So now you may ask, Jacqueline, why are you filling cups with dirt? Well, while the majority of the plants that we're going to be giving away for free are going to be just bought from Sweet Bay Nursery down in Parrish area, there is 20 of them that are actually coming from my yard, specifically a fern. Besides plants like golden pothos and snake plant that are super invasive, another really invasive plant that's brought into people's yards really unknowingly is sword fern or Boston fern. It goes by a couple different names because people like ferns. Ferns like shade, they like moisture, they're not hard to take care of. People like that. So they end up in people's yards like this. Now here's the thing. There is an invasive one and there's a native one, and they look really similar. And the cool thing is I have a bunch of the native one in my yard. So instead of some of these students ending up buying the invasive sword fern, Boston fern, we're gonna instead give them the native one, and they can start to learn about how could you tell the difference. And we know that in the store, typically you're gonna find the invasive one because that's much more common on the market. So there you go. So it's a win-win for me because I have a bunch of this fern I don't really want in my yard. It came from my neighbor's yard, which this is the difference between invasive versus aggressive. This is an aggressive native. It's an annoying, aggressive native plant. It's not invasive because it's from here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and just pull some of this. I'm gonna shove it in those cups and give them away so kids can enjoy it. Kids, I know, they're in college, they're adults, whatever. You got what I'm saying. So I'm looking for some of these juvenile ones because the root systems aren't huge yet. But you can see, do you see this? See how this one already pulled out? This is what they do. They just send runners everywhere. Oh, look here, see, there's one, and there's one. And you would think this is 3 plants, but it's not. It's just one plant. And one of the key ways that you can tell what's invasive versus what's native is the invasive one has these balls that grow on them, and the native one doesn't. It may not show on a juvenile plant like this, but you will see it definitely on adult plants. Only 19 more to go. So we're gonna figure out if I'm making good life choices or not great life choices. Well, I literally just cleaned this patio, now I'm doing this out here. 1 free house plant for college kids. Woo! Beyond ferns, for those who've been thinking about houseplants, hi, what houseplants are your favorite? And have any of you guys grown native houseplants? One of the cool things is when we were trying to figure out, there were a couple of things that people in the native gardening community sent me to use to try to figure out what plants we should be giving away. One, there's a video, whichever it is, I will link it below. But Davies, who works at Wilcox and Largo, is part of FNPS and FAN and all the good things for native plants. He did a video because he's a big grower of native plants as house plants, and he does it on his balcony. And he did a lot of like practical research, not like I read a bunch of books, but like trying stuff out, because the native community, you know, we're not that old. The research is not as deep as other, you know, like you want to learn how about tomatoes. You know, there's not as much information. So he has done a lot of amazing work to try to figure out watering frequencies, which plants work for shady locations, sunny locations, all in pots. You can't see me, but that's okay, but you're hearing me. And so he did a lot of really great work. His video is a really good resource for us to use. Also, the Florida Native Gardening Facebook group, if you're a Facebook person, there were some people who already do some of these, like as hang planters. Emily was great because she does hang planters for sunny location or semi-shade. I think semi-shade locations. She was the one who showed like how brown savory, great ground cover, minty smelling. She showed how like it was an amazing plant for putting in a hanging basket. I'll throw up the image right here because it was gorgeous. I was like, no way, that looks great. You know what? I thought I wasn't gonna have enough soil. I bought a huge bag. Turns out I have plenty of soil. I thought I lost one. I was like, I thought I counted 20. Apparently I had. I just didn't realize I dropped the plant. So off for dinner tonight. See you tomorrow because we're heading to Sweet Bay to pick up like 70 plants. So it's the next day and we are off to Sweet Bay to go pick up like 75 plants. Can you believe this? 75 plants. We're gonna see if we can fit them all in my dad's car. Hopefully we can fit them all in my dad's car for a good cause. So if you've never been to Sweet Bay, I have never been to Sweet Bay, but I have always heard amazing, great things from all those who are in the native gardening community. And I have wanted to go down there. The challenge for me is it's a bit of a drive. And when I used to work down there, when it was open, I'd be working. And then when I had a chance to get over there, it would be closed. So it never could quite work out. So I'm excited today to finally get down to Sweet Bay and we're gonna get to check it out. Plus pick up so many plants. So pretty. I think this would be I feel like for what I understood that the college kids like, because I'm not a houseplant person, that this probably is a better
use this
fit.
one a lot. This one and the peperomia are my favorites for shade or house plant containers. I mean, naturally it's kind of an epiphytic plant, but
What plant?
epiphytic, so it could grow kind of like how you see, like air plants grow.
Okay.
But it also can grow in soil. So I plant this in, you know, like hanging baskets or in a planter that I keep up on a pedestal or something because it's just going to cascade over. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Plastic on the ground or
Yeah, can we get some more plastic in there?
I'm gonna go, we're gonna be stuck in traffic for an extended
I saw that going north.
Yeah. Yay. So that's the idea.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, so we're giving them away for free.
Cool.
Free 99.
$3.99.
Hot sale.
0.00.
Yeah. So that's the idea.
Okay.
So now you have a ton of plants in your car.
I do.
Aren't you so happy?
It's kind of green. I am excellent with it. Excellent.
What'd you think of Sweet Bay? Since you're
It's nice. I didn't explore as much as you did, but it was interesting. I love the bird perches. And they had different heights, anywhere from about 6 feet up to like 12, 15 feet. And you can put it in the ground, and the birds have a place to come and
perch.
perch.
Yeah, those are called skags in nature. And certain species like ospreys only put their nests on skags. So, well, I guess I gotta come back, especially now that I got that tree taken out and I got a big old mess in the front yard that I gotta fix and I need plants.
Yes. Ooh, look, railroad track.
So I've set out the plants. So while it was raining last night, they got rained on some more. So now they can all be packed up. This one just needs to be clipped. I don't know how to clip it, but I think they'll all fit in this box. This will be fine. We're making it work. So earlier today, I went with my dad and we met up with Leah at Sweet Bay and we picked up over 80 plants. We had to do a swap out. So the plants that we're gonna be giving away is, of course, these sword ferns. We're gonna be giving away Maiden's hair fern. We're also gonna be giving away brown savory, swamp twin flower, shiny coffee, and an actual house plant that house plant people talk about, which is crazy. It's native to Florida. It's peperomia. So if you're into houseplants and you're like, I want to be better for the environment, but you could do peperomia. Peperomia is actually native to our state. So that's kind of a cool one. And I can fit most of the plants in here, which is okay. Because we have a lot of plants to give away. Oh my gosh. So I had to borrow my dad's SUV because I don't have an SUV. And it is packed to the brim with plants. And this is packed now. Can I shove them in? I still have 5 left. Okay, so these 3 are gonna come out. I'll go grab the other box and we will finish filling boxes up so that I can get these to the college. Let's talk a little bit about the plants that we're also going to be giving away that don't come out of my yard. They are Corky Stem Passion Vine, Shiny Wild Coffee, Swamp Twin Flower, Brown Savory, Peperomia, and we were going to do a wild card, which was Firebush. So the easiest and most obvious one that we should pick when it came to house plants to give away would be Peperomia. Peperomia is already in the houseplant trade, and a lot of people just don't realize that this succulent kind of plant that can be used in shady locations is native to Florida. So that one, hands down, was a pretty easy pick. And what's really cool is the fact that Peperomia is not a plant people usually start with. It's a little bit further down in the houseplant. So it's kind of a cool plant to be giving away because that's not where people start. For those of you who might consider using this in your yard and not in a container, this would actually be a shade. So you could put it under things like oak trees. It can handle a lot of heat. It's not a big fan of sun, so this is why it's like a really good house plant. It's like a typical thing with houseplants is they're not tend to be full sun plants, so you can stick them in a pot. So if you want to put it in your house or you want to go and put it on a balcony, Peperomia. Following along with this kind of like what could you put in containers, Andrea, who is co-leading this project, she's done a lot of work with containers and doing swamp twin flower in containers. So she was like, hands down, we got to put that on the list. And swamp twin flower, what's also great about it is it's a host plant of the common buckeye butterfly. So if you're thinking about putting this out on a balcony, like you could actually get caterpillars and get the common buckeye, which is kind of cool. But if you have a screened in area or in your house, you don't need to worry about butterflies getting to it. And what's cool about swamp twin flower is it kind of blooms most of the year. And if you have it in like an air conditioned or a more controlled, you know, like on a balcony near a house, it's actually going to do pretty decently of blooming throughout the year. Swamp twin flower is also a semi-shade plant, so it can take a few hours of sun. You know, you can give it more in like the 3 to 4 hours of sun, but it also is going to do pretty well in shade. Now, it doesn't like a deep shade, but it can take a bunch of shade. The next one that we thought about, which actually came from when I was doing research with my Florida native gardening friends, Emily was the one who brought up that brown savory did really beautifully in hanging baskets. So I was already a fan of brown savory, and I knew when it came to houseplants, overwatering is like a thing that people struggle with, and brown savory is a semi-aquatic plant. Well, it's not aquatic plant. It's kind of like it grows near the edges of lakes, rivers. So when you kind of see it in the wild, like it can go through periods of drought, but it can also get a lot of extra water. So if someone's kind of like, or you are like, hey, I'm not great about watering consistently, brown savory might actually be the plant for you. And another great thing about brown savory is it's got this minty smell. So if you really enjoy, like you want a little zest, a little freshening up, brown savory is great. Brown savory also is like a full sun plant. It's like a semi-shade plant. So if you have an area on your balcony that gets a little bit of sun, it can definitely handle it. Think like 2-3 hours. But in general, it's gonna do well in shadier locations. And when it comes to brown savory and flowering, it does actually flower, and it flowers a lot once it cools down in the winter time. So I suspect if you have it in an area like in a more temperature controlled, it may bloom more than what we would actually see in the wild. Now, not everybody wants teeny tiny plants when it comes to house plants or balcony plants. So things like shiny coffee, which can be pruned pretty heavily and kept in smaller shapes, was kind of one of the plants we started to think about. Shiny coffee is a plant that actually does really well in shade. This is it right here in my yard, in the ground, not in a balcony. But it is a shade plant, and what makes shiny coffee really neat is it's got shiny leaves, so it's got like a really nice texture. And I feel like when it comes to houseplants, people are really into like textures. But also it will flower, and then it will eventually have berries. So if you have it inside, yay, berries, adding a little bit of color. Do not eat these berries because this is not coffee like you would drink. This is a wild variation of coffee. Well, it's not a variation, that's an incorrect way of putting it. Basically, it's a totally different species. It's just in the same like coffee family of plants. So don't drink it, don't eat it. But if you did have it outside, you may attract birds to your balcony because they do use these berries. We got the peperonia, brown savory, swamp twin flower. Oh, corky stem passion vine. Now, corky stem passion vine, also Andrea had worked before putting it in containers and pots. And you actually probably have seen in other videos, Patrina, I'll link one at the end, where I talked to her through, and then she actually put in her garden a corky stem passion vine, which you can put in containers. You can put them on like a small trellis. They can handle really shady locations, but they can also handle semi-sunny to sunny locations. What's really cool about this plant, if you do have it exposed so wildlife can get to it, is it's like one of those like win-win-win-win plants. It's great because it helps bees, it helps butterflies, and it helps birds. Now, when you're thinking passion vine, this isn't the big ones. This isn't the passion fruit that like is the stuff you buy at stores. It makes little fruit that birds do eat. You can technically eat them, but they don't taste good. If someone has eaten them before and knows a way to make them taste good, feel free to leave in the comments down below like what that is. When it comes to flowers, there are really tiny passion flowers. They're green, which is kind of unique when it comes to flowers. So if you kind of are into little tiny passion flowers, this would be a neat way to do it in your house. But when it comes to butterflies, if you keep it in the sunnier locations, you're more likely to attract things like Gulf fritillaries. You'll often see these orange spiky caterpillars, and then they become beautiful orange butterflies. Sometimes people confuse them for monarchs, but the way that you can tell, even without seeing them up close, is if they float, they're a monarch, but if they go zipping on by, that's your Gulf fritillary. If you move that same passion vine into a shadier location, you're gonna attract zebra longwings. And you'll know the difference when it comes to caterpillars because they are white and spiky. But here's the cool thing, whether they're white and spiky or orange and spiky, you can actually touch them. They won't hurt you. It's almost like touching the ends of your hair. They stick up, but they really don't cause any pain. I've touched them before, so you're okay too. What's really cool about this plant when we think about it for a container plant or a house plant is that the leaves actually kind of have like an ivy look. So while we don't have things like English ivy that are native to Florida, using a corky stem passion vine in locations where you kind of want to get that ivy look, I mean, I'm just saying, I ain't saying. And then our last choice was going to be firebush. Now, this was a wild shot, and I know because I was the one who proposed it, but there was a reason I did propose it. I have firebush throughout my yard. The birds eat firebush in my yard, and they poop firebush seeds all over the place, including they have pooped them into hanging baskets. And I have actually for over a year had a small firebush that was growing in a hanging basket. It is long dead by now, so I don't really have any way to show you, but it did happen and it did work. But the challenge we ran into is, well, we had to do like a last minute swap out at Sweet Bay because they only had 3-gallon firebushes. This was not what we were trying to do. So we scrapped it and we went for a totally different plant. From a recommendation from Cindy from Sweet Bay, we ended up swapping it out for maidenhair fern, which was really pretty. It's like really pretty. So here's the thing. We're gonna be heading to the school and we have 100 plants. Now, we don't know that we're gonna be able to give away 100 plants because the thing is that Ecos, which is the club that's giving us the money to be able to buy the plants, and their club on Eckerd College, they said a really good event is like 100 students. So we're getting 100 plants. we do not know if we're going to be, we just don't know how this is going to go. So we're just going to do our best. The interns, Daisy and Jenny, have been advertising all around school, trying to get people aware of the fact that we're giving away free plants. So hopefully it goes really well. This one's called, you probably have never heard of it, even people in the Native community.
No, I had not heard of it.
So this is brown savory. It actually has a minty smell. So when you come
that's
up,
what it was smelling.
yeah,
Okay.
so if you guys are smelling
Smells
mint,
amazing.
that's this one. What's really cool is this actually would naturally happen like on the edges of lakes, so it really likes aquatic. So if you feel like you're an overwaterer, this one. Now one that's hiding back here that's bigger, this is shiny coffee. Who thought you could have coffee? But not the one you would drink, I'm sorry. So which plant would you like?
I was looking at that one right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the brown savory.
Perfect. Brown savory.
Yes, that's the one with the minty smell.
Yeah, and this one's just like, it's okay if it's a little overwatered kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
this is what we would call like semi-aquatic, edge of water kind of plant. In yards, we can water it about 2 times a week and it stays. We're just hiding.
Do y'all have any more of the wild
I don't know which one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right over there.
It's not some of them. Can I grab one?
I'm sorry? Who was?
Thank you.
Take one?
Yep, you can take one, yeah.
Which one's pepperoni?
Pepperoni is this one.
This one is awesome. It'll bring it. Or do you have a balcony? This will bring in butterflies. If you have it.
Oh my God, we're bringing so many.
It's not shaded though. It's bright.
It can do sun.
Yeah, it'll bring in a different butterfly.
You get orange in the sun, black in the. You want to try the pepperoni? Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll go with the two.
And you know what? At the end of the day, you can tell your mom it's free. So.
Hi. You're welcome. All right, two more plants. You guys have some plants?
All we need from you is your emails, and then these can be your plants.
It's just for info sheets.
We're gonna send you the care instructions, really, and then we'll send you guys like if we end up being like, we want more native plants.
Wow, this is so
We'll tell you.
successful. So many people are interested in this.
So these are the final 2 plants, and they just took them.
Oh man.
But you know what? This was really great. So I guess we should come give you more free
Try to
plants.
propagate this, guys.
So will you guys do this again maybe?
Do you want us to do this?
Hey, Ecos, do you hear that?
Thank
What do
you,
want to be
guys.
good here? You're
Love
welcome, guys.
plants, so yeah.
Okay, we'll tell them for sure.
All right. Well, that's it. We're all done. We gave away 100 plants. The event was super successful. Actually, it was so successful that the event was supposed to be 2 hours. It didn't even last 30 minutes. We gave away 100 plants so fast. Not only did we give them away, but we were able to educate the students. Great questions. We have lots of questions we got to go back and answer because they asked things that, well, Andrea and I weren't houseplant people, so we didn't even know this was things people were like, are they pet friendly? Which makes sense. Plus lots of other things. So we have some research to go do, but we're probably going to do this again. We're already talking with the Ecos group that maybe we'll come back in spring, and we're going to go back bigger and better than ever because we had to turn away so many students. So next time we're probably going to do 200 plants. I am so happy that I was able to share this event. I'm so happy that Andrea, who coordinated and helped work with all the interns, allowed me to join the project through the whole thing. Jenny and Daisy, the interns that both Andrea and I worked with, were amazing doing research and also pulling together lots of stuff at Eckerd College so that we could actually do this event. It's the people at Ecos who were able and willing to support by giving us money, and of course Florida Native Plant Society hosting the conservation committee and allowing us to get interns. If you're interested in getting involved with your local Florida Native Plant Society, go to www.fnps.org to become a member of your local chapter or just to support the great work that they do. And if this got you excited and thinking about native plants and you want to figure out what could be an edible native plant, check out this video here or check out this list of other native plants that can be grown in containers. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.